All right, guys, SteelTwins coming back at you with another video. This time, Week 12 predictions. Week 11 is in the books. Now is Week 12, and we have a special guest joining us today, Brandon, a.k.a. Meme Steeler. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, doing
Thanks
great.
for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you on, and I think we're all doing good after the Matt Canada news. Am I right?
I woke up and I was like, we are finally free. We can have an offense.
Yeah, thank Christ, right? Like, long overdue, but hey, they got it done. But we're here for the Week 12 picks. To start off, we got the Thanksgiving games. First one is the Green Bay Packers against the Detroit Lions. Brandon, what will be your prediction here?
I'm picking Detroit. And you know it's a bad sign when we're in the end times. When Detroit is the sane option.
Yeah. I mean, good on Detroit having the type of season that they're having. I mean, what, they 8-2 right now, one of the hottest teams in the league. Yeah, like,
and Green Bay is 4-6.
Yeah, Green Bay's. I mean, they're coming off a solid win against the Chargers, but I mean, Detroit's just a different breed this time this time around, and they're just on a roll right now. So I mean, it's kind of hard to go up against Detroit at the moment, especially it's in Detroit like it usually is for Thanksgiving. This time around, normally they don't perform too great on Thanksgiving, but again, this is a different era for Detroit and Dan Campbell and what they got going on. So give me Detroit. Next game, we got the Washington Commanders against the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas, just like Detroit, is a very, very consistent tendency to play on Thanksgiving. What will be your prediction here?
Obvious choice is obvious. Going with Dallas. I mean, Washington can show up sometimes. Like, we've seen that when they played Philly. Like, they look terrible. Look at them last week against the Giants. They look terrible.
Yeah, they
always show up sometimes. It's weird.
They let the Italian stallion Tommy DeVito freaking throw 3 touchdowns on them. I mean, a game to which Washington arguably should have won. They completely shit the bed, and they're going against Dallas, to which they've had their mishaps here and there this season, but I mean,
pretty solid.
Yeah, they're very solid, and they've had games where they actually look kind of solid and legit, and, they do the blowouts, and I think this one's going to happen again. This is actually my lock of the week, so definitely give me Dallas here to win this one. And to close out Thanksgiving night, we got the San Francisco 49ers at the Seattle Seahawks. Now, I know Geno Smith got hurt this past weekend against I think they played the Los Angeles Rams, but I think he may be good to go. Nonetheless, what's your prediction for this one?
Easy lock here. It's San Fran. Seattle's been very fraudulent lately. Like, there's 3 teams in the NFC that should have a lot of hype going into this year. It was Detroit, Seattle, and the Giants. Detroit is the only team that has lived up to the hype. Every other team has just kind of been especially the Giants. But Seattle here has just not had it. Like, I don't really see them going too far.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel the same way. Geno had a great season last year, comeback player of the year. This year, he's been very iffy. I mean, so has that whole Seahawks team. I mean, they have good games, but at the same time, they kind of play down to what they should really be living up to, especially after how they played last year and the talent that they've kept and just added upon this past offseason in the draft. San Francisco, I mean, they're starting to get the way they started the season. They're starting to get back on a roll with that. This is the division matchup. This game could very well be close, but I think I have to go with San Francisco here to win this one. Next game, we got Friday, actually. We got a Friday game at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's the Miami Dolphins against the New York Jets, who may or may not be playing Zach Wilson in this game.
They benched him. He's a third stringer.
Oh, my goodness. Well, it's long overdue for that.
We've hit the end times for the Jets. They had a lot of hope, and now it's all gone.
Yeah, but it's pretty much at this point right on till, the apparent Aaron Rodgers comeback, to which at that point...
Happening. I'm going to put my 2 cents. I don't see that happening.
Even if they're somehow still in playoff contention, it's a big risk for A-Rod.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but what's your prediction for this one?
Easy choice here. It's Miami. And it's funny because a few years ago, this would have been a tank bowl because Miami was not good a few years ago. And the Jets are still the Jets. They haven't changed.
No. I mean, they've got a lot of talent. Their defense is legit, no doubt about it. They definitely keep them in games as much as they can. The offense is just, we know how they are with Zach Wilson in there. Who's their quarterback now? Is it Tim Boyle or is it Trevor Siemian?
I think it's Tim Boyle. Because if the person who started after they benched Wilson last game,
Oh,
pretty sure that guy's starting.
that's not even a better option, honestly. Like they're really screwed. They're really screwed.
I'm surprised they didn't trade it for anybody. Because when's the deadline, or is it already over?
Oh, that's over. That ended
Yeah,
last
it was
month,
like
Halloween.
a month ago.
Yeah, so I mean, I think this game could actually be closer than it might look. Because again, New York's defense is pretty legit. I mean,
And they're at home too, so it could be that way. I don't really see it though. Then again, Miami is kind of on fraud alert, so we'll have to see.
yeah, I mean they nearly lost to the Raiders. You know, the Raiders defense
Yeah.
hasn't been great this year, but you know they've been playing more competitive since Antonio Pierce has stepped in as interim head coach. But no, I think Miami can pull off a victory here, get the win here.
They have the talent for it.
Yeah, without a doubt. Sunday games, we have the New Orleans Saints against the Atlanta Falcons. What's your prediction here, man?
So I'm going with New Orleans here, and it's a little weird. I just feel that Atlanta doesn't have the momentum, mainly because Arthur Smith is the terrorist who doesn't want to use his offense.
Which
And
is
I'm because I
crazy.
like how New Orleans plays.
Which is crazy because you know I always saw Arthur Smith as a solid coach, and he was that way with Tennessee as the OC. And you know he had a lot of upside, a lot of promise. You know when he became the Falcons head coach, but I don't know, being an offensive mind and prior success as OC, you figure you know he would find a way to use his quarterbacks and you know Kyle Pitts
best
and
player,
Bijan Robinson.
you know.
Yeah, like but I don't know what I mean. He's having Robinson return punts now. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Like you drafted this guy in the first round, and that was really questionable. And Detroit did the same with Gibbs, but they traded away Swift, and it made sense for them. But like, what are you doing? You have all these players, and you don't use them. What's the point? Why draft them?
And somehow Smith has a job. Apparently Smith, I mean, he freaking lost to the Arizona Cardinals, and that wasn't even enough for Smith to be fired. Apparently he's going to be keeping that role till next season, which
Didn't he lose to the Vikings as well?
I think he did. Yeah. I think they actually got
Kirk Cousins less and JJ less.
yeah.
Vikings.
Josh Dobbs had a good game against the Falcons too. So
He did.
I mean, good for Dobbs, but yeah, I mean, New Orleans isn't really that much better. I mean, their offense has been very inconsistent and very poor. Even with Derek Carr as the quarterback all season, they've been very lackluster. Their defense is pretty solid. You know, they keep them in games and everything. This game could very well come down to a game-winning field goal. I think that's the Saints, though. I don't really see Atlanta pulling off a victory on this one.
It's not going to be a runaway game. It's going to be very close.
Yeah, without a doubt. Next game, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cincinnati Bengals. Steelers coming off a dreadful loss against the Cleveland Browns, led by a rookie quarterback, a third-string quarterback at that. Now they're back on the road to Cincinnati, facing Jake Browning and the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow is out for the year. Steelers are playing another game against a backup quarterback. Hopefully they rebound, but what is your prediction for this one?
Now, before yesterday, I just picked Cincinnati. I was like, I don't trust this team at all. But after today, I'm going Pittsburgh all the way. We going Super Bowl. Nah, but I think we have a better chance now that Canada's gone. Maybe the offense can get something going.
Yeah,
I'd have that hope, but we have to wait and see. But it's very iffy with us. This is where we prove ourselves. If we're still contending this season, this is the game to do it. We have to play our hearts out here and now. This has to be it.
I absolutely 100% agree right here. This is a game where they have to step up, show, that firing Matt Canada, getting rid of him, relieving him of his duties, whatever, it was a move that needed to be done. Thank goodness that they did it.
Definitely.
And it definitely, him not being the OC definitely makes this game a lot more interesting and investing now that we don't have to, go with a typical Steelers, offense. Hopefully we do see some.
For the three-play playbook.
Yeah, we see something different, something unique, something progressive, positive coming out of the offense. I know Cincinnati has Jake Browning in there, but, Steelers in the backup quarterbacks, their tendency is to play down the competition. Not going to underestimate them one bit, but I kind of felt the same way as you. It's like, I don't know if we win this game, Canada's still the OC, we're not really making any changes like they normally would do.
Yeah. It's very interesting, too, with Cincinnati, because they still have good receivers. I know Higgins, he might still be out, but you still have Boyd and Jamar was very iffy on Thursday, but he did have a TD, so if they can utilize, the running game and just like get short passes, they could. That's their game plan, I would assume.
Yeah, despite the injury at quarterback, they still got remarkable weapons, elite talent on offense. If the defense can try to limit them as best as they can, despite them giving up a lot of yardage all season, if they can limit them and manage to get turnovers and sacks, and the offense can show some progression, then I think Steelers got a shot. I'm going to go with the Steelers to get this one. They need a bounce-back win.
Yeah.
They need a win to get some momentum back, get a win, get that taste of the Browns' loss out of their mouths, get a win against another division rival, and just go from there. And hopefully we see some production.
Right.
Next game, we got the Carolina Panthers at the Tennessee Titans. Your prediction here?
Tank Bowl. I'm picking Tennessee in this one because Carolina is just, so bad. So very, very bad.
Yeah, 1-9 Tennessee. I couldn't tell you their record. Tennessee's not as good as.
Tennessee is 3-7.
Yeah, that's not good.
And Henry is rotting on that team. Someone save this man.
He's not anywhere near King Henry, but he's still a legit back. He's the only guy they have on offense. Will Levis is still trying to get in tune with the NFL level and everything about that.
I like him better than Malik though. Like I don't really understand why they picked Malik. I guess they kind of had to, but he's like a prospect you have to build. You can't just he doesn't start immediately, so it don't really make sense.
Yeah.
To keep him.
Yeah. Maybe they were hoping because last year Tannehill was really on a decline. They were hoping Willis could really develop, and he has to a degree, but nowhere to where.
Not enough to start.
Exactly. That's why they got Levis. I think they actually traded up to get him, if I'm not mistaken. And
he was picked in the second round because he did get picked in the first round. I think it was like the 33rd or 34th pick.
He might have been the pick after us, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love his arm talent. His accuracy ain't too bad. If he works on the little nicks here and there, then Tennessee definitely has a quarterback that they are looking for. But they're definitely in I would say a rebuild mode at the moment. Carolina, they got a lot of issues to work out. Missing out on C.J. Stroud is really, really looking bad for them.
And it sucks for Carolina too because they don't have their first, so they can't even tank properly. They give their first to Chicago. It's like that was a really bad move. Like,
yeah.
When they traded up, they didn't know who they wanted. Like you don't do that unless you know who you want.
Yeah, they just
it was a big blunder on their part.
They just went with the guy that really was talked about more, and right now the guy's being talked about more is C.J. Stroud. He's lining the league.
Yeah, he's balling out.
Yeah, so Carolina could keep it close, but I think Tennessee gets the win here at home. So
yeah, definitely.
Next game, we got Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers against the Indianapolis Colts at Indianapolis. What's your prediction here?
Picking Indy here. Tampa Bay has been all right this year. I like Baker because he's not in the Browns anymore, but he's just I don't know. They're just not in the rhythm properly to get everything going. Like you saw that last week against San Fran. It's just. I'm still shaky on them, but Indianapolis has looked pretty good. They have JT back. Minshew's been all right. I think they can go decently enough. They won't win any playoff games, but they'll do well enough.
Yeah, like Indianapolis, they're still in contention with the division, actually, based off of Jacksonville's terrible loss against San Francisco last week. Even with Gardner Minshew in there, they're still in contention. They're still a very competitive team. See, Tampa Bay, Baker's looked a lot more solid in Tampa Bay than he has in Cleveland. The targets he has are remarkable. They're very good. But Tampa Bay, with Todd Bowles at OC, their future's very uncertain. It doesn't look bright. Let me just say that.
Yeah, at least they have, better receivers there. Like, who was the good receivers in Cleveland? You didn't really have too many.
No, they didn't have Cooper at the time. I couldn't even tell you. Odell, but...
They had they had Odell who did like
that was
nothing, and then he went to the Rams and won a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, exactly. Cleveland's gonna be Cleveland. They get rid of a guy that's very serviceable. That's done a lot for their franchise, but let's get rid of him and trade the bank for a guy that has many allegations and was out of football for a year. So
yeah, I'd say Cleveland has their own Big Ben now.
Yeah,
in the worst way possible.
Yeah, really. God, Cleveland, continue to be Cleveland. But See, I don't know. Like, this game could really go either way between Tampa Bay and Indianapolis, you know?
It really could. Like, both these teams can compete when they need to. I mean, Tampa Bay really showed up last week. It was only like a 2-score game, and they had a bunch of chances to make it 1 score.
Yeah.
But they just couldn't get it done. I think that comes down to San Fran's defense just being as good as it is.
Yeah. I mean, for a game like this where I'm undecided, I would normally go with the home team. But for some reason, Tampa Bay's kind of speaking out to me on getting the victory here. So I think I'm just going to go with my gut feeling and just go with Tampa Bay getting the win. But again, this game could go either way, to be real. Next game, we got the New England Patriots. Oh, God, this game's bad. New England Patriots against the New York Giants. Your prediction?
Another tank bowl for us, isn't it?
Oh boy, years ago, man. This used to be a must-see matchup, Super Bowl and everything. Now we're looking at 2 teams that are trying to move on from the franchise quarterbacks
with Eli and Brady.
Oh God, man. Oh God. Your prediction?
Yesterday I would have picked. Well, actually not yesterday, but like before Sunday I would have picked New England. I'm going with New York now because I like how they played. Washington is a really good defense. They play really hard, but they found a way to win. And New England has looked terrible. They got blown out against the Saints at home.
Yeah.
Like this team is tanking. It's done. It's so over for them.
Yeah, big time. I mean, Mac Jones apparently has lost the locker room. He was benched for Bailey Zappa on the last drive against.
Who then threw a pick?
Yeah. There's I don't even know I don't know what New England's doing. They are really, really lost right now, pretty much in the pit of misery. New York, they've had a devastating season. Daniel Jones is not living up to the money, not like he really deserved the money anyway. But after a solid year last year, New York has really been playing tough. And, they lost Daniel Jones. Now they're stuck with Tommy DeVito, the Italian Stallion, who had a good performance against Washington.
He did.
And I think that happens again. I'm actually going to go with New York just because New England is just bad right now. And I think...
Do you trust their defense to stop a third stringer? I don't.
No, not one bit. Not at all. I mean, Jesus Christ. New England, God.
Football hell.
And I think Brian DeBull just outcoaches Bill Belichick. Right? I think Bill Belichick is just out of touch.
Yeah, way out of touch. He reminds me of... Chuck Nolan is like his final years, like just past his time, or like who was the Cowboys head coach for the 70s, like just out of touch.
Yeah, just he's lasting there longer than he needs to be. He's done he's done good for them, but he's not at the moment. So, but give me the Giants here. Next game, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Houston Texans, divisional matchup, AFC matchup. This should be a good one. What's your prediction?
Now, my percentage says that Jacksonville is more likely to win. I don't believe that, mainly because I like how Houston plays. They play lights out football. If you've seen them, CJ and Tank Dell and all the receivers they have just been hitting their marks this entire season. It's insane. I don't think Jacksonville has it. They had a very good game last week. I liked how they played, but this is against Tennessee though, so you got to give maybe a little asterisk on that. But I still think Houston's the way better team, so I'm going with them. But Jacksonville, if they can hit their stride again and keep doing that, they can go far. But this is going to be a very tough matchup, who I think Houston's going to come out on top.
Yeah, this game has all the makings, honestly, to be like a big shootout. Lawrence and Stroud just lining up both defenses and just, because both teams got great targets. Lawrence with Ridley and Zay Jones and Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram. CJ Stroud, he's got Tank Dell, he's got
Nico Collins, Robert Woods.
Yeah, Noah
Devin
Brown.
Singletary.
Yeah, like the offenses are really, really, really good, and they got good running backs just as much too. Both coaches, they're doing really good for both franchises, especially DeMeco Ryan. His first year as a head coach for his former team that he used to play for. A lot of rookie coaches, first-year coaches with the Texans, and they're already doing this with the rookies and the type of offseason that they had. They're good for Houston. With everything that happened back with what the old head coach. He's the OC for New England now.
I know you're talking about Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, that guy. He tore apart that whole team. Like my
God,
God.
got rid of Hopkins for like nothing. It's like, how do you do that?
Yeah. So. good for Houston. They're really bouncing back. They got a bright future, just as much as Jacksonville. For this game, I think I might, because I think earlier they played and Houston blew them out, and that was in Jacksonville. Now they're in Houston's
Now, I was going
house.
to ask because I was thinking if they play again, like into the week 18, it's going to be like a must watch because the South is going to be very competitive this year. I could definitely see it.
Yeah.
And even next year when Richardson comes back, that'll be insane.
Yeah.
Three good teams competing for just a one division slot.
Yeah, that whole division, man, like the future's bright, no doubt.
Also, insane to think that all 4 teams that haven't made Super Bowls all have an over 500 record right now.
That's actually pretty insane. So, but
these 2 included.
For this game, though, I think I'm gonna go with. Jacksonville has the opportunity to have the matchup split here, but I think Houston gets the win. I think they just got the most momentum at the moment, and Stroud just lining the league up, looking like no doubt the heavy runner, the front runner for offensive rookie, even making his case for MVP.
Yeah, just look at the last few games they've had. They beat Cincinnati, and it's just been insane for them. And I will mention that, by the way, because one of the reasons I wanted to wait until today to do picks is because there's this guy named Brennan Perna, and every week he does a power rankings of the top 10 teams. And after the power rankings, he spins a wheel, and whatever team it lands on, they're cursed for the week. And last week it was the Chiefs, and they lost this week.
Oh,
so that's why I picked Philly to win that game, even though they were the away team.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to see what happens this week. So hopefully I might change one of these afterwards, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been impeccable so far. It's like 9-0 right now, or 10-0 actually.
Yeah. I mean, that's the fun with predictions, man. That really is.
Yeah.
So, next game is Cleveland at Denver. This is bound to be a very heavily defensive matchup. What's your prediction here?
Normally, I think the same answer is Cleveland. However, I'm going with Denver. I like their momentum. It's just they've shown up, and I'm here for the chaos. I want it.
Yeah,
I would love the Browns to lose to Denver.
I mean, Browns are 7-3. They got a third-string rookie quarterback starting. Their defense is legit. There's no doubt about it. Arguably the best defense in the league. Denver, though, they are on a 4-game win streak. They got a lot of momentum. Russell Wilson has really had a much better season compared to last year. Big part of that is definitely Sean Payton.
They had a rough start, though. They didn't start out too well, but they found their stride.
They were what, like 0-3, something like that?
Yes, they were 0-3, and then they got their first win against, I think, the Bears, and then they got blown out against Miami. But they're 500 again. They're 5-5.
Yeah, so they're really on the go right now. They got a lot of momentum, and they're going to want to continue that, especially since they're home at Denver. I mean, going up against Cleveland's defense ain't going to be easy since their offense doesn't really produce a lot of yardage, but they can get touchdowns. They can get touchdowns, especially when it matters the most. And I don't know if you want to consider this an upset based off Cleveland's standings and their record and their ranks with defense, but I'm gonna go with Denver here. I
would call this a trap game for Cleveland.
Arguably, it could.
This is a game you should win, but if there's a chance you don't win.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with Denver here. I think Denver can pull it off. Denver's on the roll right now.
Join the chaos.
Yeah, right. Like that would be insane. Like, Cleveland's 7-3. But they can only ride on this momentum for so long before Cleveland pulls to Cleveland. And this is a game that just speaks volumes about that. So give me Denver for sure. Next game, we got a division matchup here. We got the Los Angeles Rams at the Arizona Cardinals. What is your prediction?
Now, the right choice is LA. However, I'm going with Arizona here.
Okay.
I just feel like Arizona has Kyler Murray back. They have their stride. They have Hollywood Brown. They have Rondale. Rondale's been all right. And they also have Trey McBride. And I don't know. I like Arizona more. They beat the Cowboys earlier this year. So they can beat teams. But LA has just not beat them. Cooper Kupp's out right now.
That's
Stafford's
right, he is.
kind of iffy. I just feel like Arizona's going to have the edge over this one. It'll be close for sure, but I think Arizona wins this one.
I mean, they absolutely could. They have the home field advantage. They know the Rams very well. Division opponents, like I said. The Rams are coming off a solid win against the Seahawks. And they did lose Cooper again, I think. I heard he went down. I don't know what the extent of the injury is, so he may or may not play. But, Puka Nacua is, he's a standout rookie. He's very good. Running game is still very productive at times. Matt Stafford, as long as he doesn't turn over the ball, he can get the ball to his
Yeah,
targets.
he's good. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Yeah, his first year at LA, they're nowhere near the team like that. But, when Stafford's in there, they're a much more improved and competitive football team.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a good trade for both of them. Like if you look at Detroit now, they're doing well. It's like a win-win for both.
Yeah, really, absolutely. So Arizona, they have what, 2 wins? One was against
they're
Dallas.
2-9 right now.
Yeah, one was against Dallas, one was against the Falcons.
Yep.
So they could get a win here. They really could. But I don't know if they do though. I don't know if they beat the Rams. I think the Rams continue that momentum, get another win here. That might just be me. I mean, Arizona could pull off the upset, quote unquote, here, but I think I'm gonna go with the Rams on this one.
All right.
Next game, we have the Kansas City Chiefs against the Las Vegas Raiders. What's your prediction?
This is another gimme. It's got to be Kansas City. I mean, I guess we could trust LA. I mean, the problem is they were against the Dolphins, who are on fraud alert, as mentioned earlier. But just KC is just too good of a team. I don't really see them losing. They're or they have 3 losses now, but it was against Philadelphia, Detroit, and I forget who else.
Yeah, I
But
can't.
they've just been there when they need to. Like they're not gonna falter against LA. It's just not gonna happen. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I think that third loss was the Broncos. I think.
Yes, that was the flu game that Mahomes had.
Yeah, that's right.
That was crazy.
Yeah. So wasn't that the
That's
game
when I
that
played
actually
your brother in fantasy.
wasn't that the game that actually started off Denver's win streak or something?
I believe it is because after they beat Kansas City, they beat the Bills as well,
Yeah, ain't that crazy?
and then the Vikings.
Wow, man, look at Denver.
I know.
But
Brandon Perner is so happy.
So with this game, Kansas City, their offense is still good, although they, Kelsey can only do so much, when Swift's not in attendance.
Yeah.
The receivers, they have serious drop issues. They got almost like 30 drops in the NFL, which leads the league. Not having a true number one is definitely very evident. It was evident week 1 against the Lions. It was evident again against the Philadelphia Eagles. Marquez Valdez-Scantling had the game lead right there in his hand.
And he dropped it. He dropped it.
I know the weather plays a part, but Valdez-Scantling has always had that issue, even back when he had A-Rod as his quarterback. I mean, when the ball's in your hands like that in a big moment when you're wide open toward the end zone, you can't drop a ball like that. And that's something that a lot of Kansas City's receivers have been doing. Sky Moore hasn't stepped up in his rookie year. Rasheed Rice, he's only a rookie, but he's not really doing much. Again, Kelsey can only do so much. Kadarius Toney hasn't really lived up to that first-round pedigree. Kansas City is just they're productive
they were
on offense.
last week. That's why they lost.
Yeah, that's definitely a reason. But they're still productive, but they could be even more productive if their targets just did a lot more and kept catching the ball. But they've had that issue. The Raiders, since Antonio Pierce has stepped in, they've been much more competitive. Games have been a lot
Definitely.
closer.
I like them a lot more.
And their defense, I mean, I don't know about you, but the Dolphins' offense is much more competitive and electric than the Chiefs' offense this year, and they kept that game.
You just have Tyreek on there, Tyreek Waddle. Miami has this sort of, they have their number 1 receivers. They have that for them, and they can just, whenever they need a guy open, they have it. The Chiefs don't really have that. Ever since Tyreek left, they don't really have their number 1 guy.
Exactly.
But Miami does.
And Vegas kept that game real close. I think they only lost by a field goal, something like that. I may be wrong in that, but it was a very close game. Vegas kept it very close down to the wire. So for this one, considering it's a divisional matchup as well, it could be something similar. But I don't see Kansas City losing 2 straight. When was the last time that ever happened? Let alone
Vegas lost by a TD. He was 13-20.
Okay. Nonetheless, they kept it very close down to they only limited the Dolphins to 20 points. I mean, that's pretty stellar.
That's impressive.
Very. And but again, I don't see Kansas City losing 2 straight, so I might have to go with the Chiefs here.
It's just obvious.
Yeah. Next game we got the Buffalo Bills at the Philadelphia Eagles. Buffalo's had a very rocky season this year.
Very rocky so far.
Yeah, well, the Eagles, I mean, they got the best record in the NFL, 9-1. What is your prediction?
I mean, obvious choice here. Philadelphia's at home. You got to go with Philly. But this for Buffalo, this is a must-win game. So I definitely see them. This is the same game like for the Steelers. It's like you have to show up here. This is where you prove your worth, where you need to win, and you need to show, okay, we can still compete here. We're not completely out of it. This
Exactly.
is where Buffalo is going to hopefully show up. If it'll be enough to win, I don't know. But then again, I mean, the Jets did beat Philadelphia, so anything's possible.
Yeah.
But Philly's the obvious answer here. They just got a lot of firepower.
Oh yeah.
I don't think Buffalo can beat that, but they'll show up for sure.
Now Buffalo, like I said, they've had a rocky season. They fired their OC Ken Dorsey. But I mean, Josh Allen's still very turnover heavy. That's been his kryptonite, but the whole Bills' kryptonite just as much. Josh Allen just had seems like that Madden curse is really starting to affect him. You know,
Yeah.
the Madden curse is truly back, I guess you could say, but I gotta go.
Sponsored with them. Should just stick with the old games, man.
Yeah, yeah, but I gotta go with Philly here. Buffalo could really keep it close, but I mean, you can't count out Philly in that tush push that they got, or the brotherly
It's
shove.
unstoppable. They
Yeah,
might be gone next year though, so got to make the most of it while you can.
yeah, pretty much. And you know, Philly's they're on a hot streak. They're going to keep that going. So Sunday night we got a solid game here. We got the Baltimore Ravens at the Los Angeles Chargers. What's your prediction?
Yes, pain incarnate in LA. I'm gonna go with Baltimore here. They're the better team. I know LA is at home, but like, come on, it's LA and it's the Chargers. That's not home for them. It's always an away game. Baltimore has really shown up so far. They've been very interesting. Mark Andrews after the year though, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah,
Baltimore.
That's that's Lamar's biggest target. That's his best target.
Yeah. So he's gonna have to be a little halfback now, just run the ball a bunch.
Yeah.
But we saw last week we had a little scare with his like ankle. He just kind of went down for a bit. We're like, oh my god, is he out as well? Could have lost Burrow and Lamar. But yeah, it's just Baltimore here. I don't see them even without Andrews. I don't really see them slowing down that much. It might affect them later in the year, but right now, I mean, it's LA. LA might show up though, but this is just a very strong case of Baltimore just being better.
Yeah, going up against the Baltimore's defense, which is just about second best, you know, underneath Cleveland. You know, their defense has been real good this year. The Chargers defense, however, has not. Their defense is very, very bad, despite the names that they have. Plus, they don't have Joey Bosa. He was on IR now. He's out for 4 weeks after suffering an injury.
Yeah, that's their defense. I mean, him and Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
That's it.
But now Mack's going to have to step up as the number one. But their secondary, they have no corners. Derwin James can only do so much at the safety position. So their defense is not good whatsoever. So even without Mark Andrews, Lamar can still get the ball to his targets. Zay Flowers, Odell's starting to get on a rhythm now too. The running game's still very good, even with Keaton Mitchell in there. You know, the Ravens offense just knows how to produce yardage and points.
Yeah, they're good at it.
And the Chargers defense, they can't stop that. Their offense could really keep them in the game. Keelan Allen's having a stellar year. Eckler, you know, he's going to be Eckler at the end of the day. Justin Herbert's had he hasn't had an impressive year like years prior, but, you know, Justin Herbert's going to, you know, keep that offense going. But
I have a question for you, by the way, about Eckler.
Yeah.
Do you think he's on the same trajectory as Derrick Henry? Because like this is kind of the twilight of their years as a running back. Like it's almost near the end of their time.
That's a good question because, you know, the thing with Eckler is he's very versatile. He's an impact player. The guy can get touchdowns and yardage. The man's always had a case of injury issues, and he sustained that week 1, or was it week 2, whatever. And he was out for a little bit. You know, if he were to stay a bit more healthy, you know, maybe that question wouldn't be brought up. I think his play is still very impactful, still very good and productive.
Look at him in the goal line; he just always scores. He
Yeah.
just always has that. He's like a power back almost.
He's very
You just can't stop him.
He's very reliable. I do think he's due for a big contract. You know, although he's a running back, and the running back market isn't as prioritized as it used to be, so he may not be getting the contract or the money that he would like. Although when he's in there, you know, his presence is very evident. I still think he's a hell of a player. I don't think he's on a downward spiral or trajectory like a Derrick Henry, at least not at Henry's pace, because both of them are still very.
They can still be good. Like Derrick Henry has had some good games.
They're both impact players for their respective teams, no doubt about that. Without them, their offense is nothing. Let's be real here. But no, I think I got to go with Baltimore here to win this one. And plus, Baltimore is number 1 in the AFC, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. I was really hoping they'd lose against Cincinnati, but I guess not.
Now, if Burrow didn't go down, maybe there was a chance, but
I don't get that either. I think he was injured or almost injured, and he still played. He shouldn't have played that week.
Yeah, he something was wrapped around his wrist, and he was not even on the injury report. So the NFL,
kind of like Bijan a few weeks ago when he had a headache or something. I didn't report it.
Exactly, and the NFL is going to be investigating that, as they should. And Cincinnati's definitely hiding something. That's for sure, because because the video was out there, then they deleted it. Why would they delete that if there's nothing wrong with it?
Better hope you don't lose your first round like Miami last year.
Yeah, and that was just because they were trying to contact the head coach without knowledge or permission or whatever. And you know how the NFL takes how serious they are in player safety. So it's like Cincinnati could be in trouble, but that's on them. That's on them. But Sunday night, I got Baltimore winning this matchup, unfortunately. To close out Week 12, Monday night, we got a disappointing one. Let's be real. Chicago at Minnesota. What's your prediction?
Picking Minnesota here. Chicago did show up in a way against Detroit, but Detroit just kind of sealed it. They were like, nah, you ain't going to have a game against us. But I like Minnesota. Jobs, he was our guy. He's been him so far.
Yeah,
I like
literally him. Literally him. Good for Dobbs. I'm happy the guy's finding success despite going from team to team to team. But wherever he is, he leaves an impact, he leaves an input, and he's doing very good. He's doing very good for Minnesota.
Interesting. We got to see, and once JJ comes back, how this team does. Because when he comes back, this team could be like a serious threat for either like a sneak in like wild card or maybe the division. I wouldn't say division because they got to go against Detroit, and Detroit has just been very, very good this year.
Right.
But I could see him sneaking in.
Yeah, this could be
Kirk.
This could be the game where JJ comes back. I mean, he has an extra day to heal and rest. So, because he could have came back for Sunday night, but Minnesota doesn't want to rush him, and rightfully so.
Yeah, that's the right choice because this is not a must-win year. This isn't like, time is of the essence. Like your main quarterback's out. Don't re-injure your best receiver. Let him take the time he needs to be healthy before he comes back. It's a smart move.
Absolutely. But I think Minnesota gets a win back after losing Sunday night against Denver. That game was real physical, real competitive, real close. Chicago got Justin Fields back, but there's only so much that he can do as a passer. He hasn't really,
I feel like Fields is kind of cooked in Chicago. It's just not been him. I know people had a lot of hype for Chicago. I didn't really see it. We got to wait and see. Maybe next year, but.
Yeah, maybe. Fields has his moments, but they're very inconsistent. Very inconsistent. Yeah. So it's like at this point, I don't know if Fields is the guy for Chicago, but
he's on the Bears. That's why they never had a good quarterback.
Yeah, quarterback graveyard. That's what they are. No quarterbacks. Their most successful is Jay Cutler. That's not good.
I don't know who that guy is. That's a bad sign.
Oh my God.
And they won a Super Bowl too, and it's like, damn.
Yep, but Minnesota. Give me Minnesota. I think they get the win back, and they get a win on primetime. I think Dobbs has another good performance. Maybe Justin Jefferson's back. So, anyway, guys, that is Week 12 predictions. I want to thank Brandon, a.k.a. Meme Steeler, for joining me today. Before we get on out of here, I want to wish Brandon, a.k.a. Meme Steeler, and all you guys tuning in a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the meal. Enjoy the family time. Cherish the family time, sincerely. And, Brandon, let's hope hopefully we get a dub on Sunday, man.
Yeah, hopefully, let's enjoy the Thanksgiving football. It's actually going to be good this time and not Detroit hell.
Yeah, maybe they won't be losing a football game like normally, but yeah, that's that, man. As always, guys, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later. Peace.